Welcome back. You're watching Business Tonight. New media is changing the way companies market their products.
We're looking in this day and age at things like podcasts, websites, blogs, all different ways to reach people.
Joining us now is Mike Stopforth from Cereba. Thank you very much.
Spot on. Hi, guys.
You call yourself a social media company.
That's correct.
What is that?
Social media would be an all-encompassing term that tries to answer some of the questions around Web 2.0, which is a buzzword and a hyped-up phrase that gets bandied about a bit. When we refer to social media, we refer to tools and channels that are perhaps not mainstream, quite simply, informal media, the type of media that is giving rise to, or that are giving rise to, a new empowered digital citizen, which is asking a lot of questions of modern business, both behind the corporate firewall and then in the marketing space.
Those digital citizens, are those mostly the MTV generation, or does it spill over to
surprisingly not? I heard an interesting story from a friend the other day who received a Facebook invite from his mother-in-law and said that would be the pinnacle of a very scary digital experience.
All right, Facebook. You've probably lost a part of our audience. Just to explain exactly what Facebook is and what it does.
Well, if you haven't yet heard of Facebook, it's what half of your employees are using on a day-to-day basis to connect with their friends and with their employees. It's a social networking platform. It's a tool where you build a digital profile for yourself and then link to friends and communities. The scary thing is that the rate at which it's been adopted. Facebook has been around for a while, last 3 years in the States. Then the last 2 months in South Africa has escalated to the tens of thousands of membership and probably nearing the hundreds of thousands.
Mike, are we generally behind the rest of the world in the information communications and technology arena?
Once again, surprisingly, yes. It's the same web, and you'd assume that with an internet connection you're on the same platform, but it seems we do lag a little bit behind, not only in terms of how we're engaging consumers using social media and in that space, but also how we're using social media behind the corporate firewall to better enhance internal communications with employees or harness intellectual capital, whatever it is.
With the world becoming a global village, how do you explain that we're still lagging?
This is the irony. I think it comes down perhaps to a psyche, perhaps a lack of self-belief in South Africa. Just recently, though, we've seen a big change, and it's really exciting. We've seen a lot of young web startups emerging in the South African corporate space. Digital startups like amatomu.com, Afrigator.com, Synthesite, which is just launched out of Cape Town, a very exciting young web startup that's getting global exposure. So really young, brave and confident startups that are putting South Africa on the digital map, on the digital global map, and that's exciting stuff.
But essentially marketers have to change the way that they try and reach their audience. Is it as simple as getting a 19-year-old as part of a creative team to put the adverts together to speak to a 19-year-old?
Some of it is about user-generated content and engaging users on that level, but I think it goes to or it speaks to a much bigger human trend. I think social media goes beyond a technological fad or just a set of tools, because the tools and trends will fade away. They are just tools and trends. But this fundamental need to connect better, to connect faster and cheaper than we ever have before, is not only affecting our consumers, as you so rightly say, but our employees as well. And we need to maybe look at the way we've always done things and innovate.
Post the dot-com crash, where obviously we've seen media coming through like something like Vottle, an online classified site that is free. Now also Facebook, there's no charge, or is there a charge?
Absolutely not. It gets a little scary. I mean, last year, a fantastic example is Google forking out a cool $1.65 billion for YouTube, a site which makes no money, but has an incredible network of linked social digital citizens. And once again, interesting thing about YouTube, it's not teens. It's not just teens and their cell phones or teens and their laptops. It's a diverse range of gender, sex, demography. There are no limitations and boundaries in that space.
It's a bandwagon, things like YouTube, that corporates are trying to jump on. But is the MTV generation, aren't they a lot better at filtering out those marketing messages and the like than perhaps I was?
I think me included, but the danger is this increased skepticism to our traditional marketing and advertising channels. I get opportunities to speak to companies and ask them, can you tell me how many billboards you passed on the highway this morning? Do you switch on the PVR and fast forward the ads when they come? And then I ask, isn't it perhaps arrogant of us to assume that our consumers are acting any differently towards us, saying at the rate of information that we're receiving, at the sheer velocity and volume of marketing messages, we inoculate ourselves against those messages. And the danger for companies is that they get lost in the noise. To innovate, to be special, you've got to tap into niches, you've got to tap into the trends, and hopefully that's the real meaning that's coming out of Web 2.0, apart from the buzz and the hype, which is very buzzy and very hypey. Let's get to the real meaning, and that I think is radical relationships with consumers, which is what we're trying to help our clients with.
Mike Stopforth, Cereba, thank you very much for joining us. That's all we have time for today.
Thank you very much for watching Business Tonight. I'm Byron Kennedy.
And I'm Bronwyn Nielsen. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Good night.